Hey everybody, my name's Justine SanFilippo and I'm your favorite health coach and nutritionist. And in case you have no idea who I am, I'd like to give you my 5-second introduction. And today we're going to talk about grocery store shopping and label reading. So I actually never had any intention of getting into wellness. I went to Notre Dame for college. I was an information systems major and I studied in their College of Business. So basically I was a computer dork and knew how to program. What happened was my junior year I went abroad to Dublin, Ireland to study, and I chose Ireland because they spoke English. And if you've never been to Ireland, it's one of my favorite places in the world. It's beautiful, the people are super friendly and happy, very green and fresh, and I just loved it. So what happened is I came back 4 months later, and my boyfriend at the time picked me up at the airport, and he had this look on his face of basically, what did you do to yourself, Justine? So what I did to myself is I put on 45 pounds and 4 sizes in those 4 months. I didn't think it was an issue until I sort of got his reaction, and that's when I became very self-conscious. I wasn't happy in my own skin, none of my clothes fit, and I really honestly didn't know what to do because I was always very, very skinny in high school. I would eat all my friends' lunches, and I was like this big, and I was in the band, I played softball, so I really didn't know what to do with this new body. So what I did, like we all do, is we do every diet in the world that's wrong. We try to look for that quick fix, we try different supplements, and eventually I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, so I became a health coach, certified health coach 9 years ago, and I've owned a women's gym in New Jersey for 3 years. I'm a certified personal trainer. I have my master's in nutrition, and I'm publishing a book this September 2nd called Lose Your Inches Without Losing Your Mind. So needless to say, I'm in this wellness thing for the long haul. I absolutely love it. I love helping people be healthy, and you can read more about me at happyhealthypeople.com. So today is really a presentation that everyone needs to know because it's all about label reading and ingredients. Because when you go to the grocery store, half the time you think you're getting something healthy, but you don't really know. It's all about the marketing and the pretty graphics they put on the packages. And at the end of this presentation, I'll go through some of your favorite snacks here and let you know if they're healthy or not. So the first tip is when you're going into the grocery store is not to shop when you're hungry. Isn't that the worst? Because suddenly your basket is filled with all of these things, and I'm guilty of doing this too, all these things that you don't really want to eat because they all looked good at that time. So I always try to have some snacks either in my purse or in the car. I always have something, so I know if I'm going grocery shopping, I'll have a snack first, and then I won't eat, buy too much stuff. The other tip is to start in the perimeter. So most of your shopping, it doesn't matter what grocery store you go to, the perimeter is where your fruits and vegetables and then your fish, meats, all sorts of things are on the outside. The aisles is where you can get into trouble. That's all the processed stuff. So when you walk in, go left or right, don't go straight. And you want to fill up your basket. By the time you're done with the perimeter, your basket should be like 75% full of good, fresh foods. Then you can go to the aisles, and if you need to get your water, or like coconut water, or your like favorite little, healthier, snacky things, then that's fine too. Like I was just in Whole Foods the other day, and I noticed, I go around the perimeter, and it looked like a garden in my basket, and then I went to the aisles and got my other little favorite things. Try to choose organic or local produce when possible. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but at the end of the day, it's worth it because you have to think of future doctor's visits and future possible medications, which cost a lot more, and health issues that can cost more in the long run. And there's plenty of farmers markets around here which can be cheaper than the store's organic produce. And of course, read labels and ingredients. So after today's presentation, when you go to the grocery store next time, it might be a longer trip than usual because you're going to be sitting there and you're going to be reading everything. And that's okay because the next time you go after that, it'll be a lot easier because you'll know exactly what you're buying. So there's this organization called the Environmental Working Group Shopper's Guide to Pesticides. It's a very long name. And what they do is they identify the fruits and vegetables that have the highest and lowest pesticide residues. So these are the 14 foods you should buy organic, and that organization also has an app that you can download. So in general, these foods have a lot of pesticides. That's why you really should buy them organic, okay? So we have apples, strawberries, grapes, celery, peaches, spinach, bell peppers, nectarines, cucumbers, potatoes, tomatoes, hot peppers, all leafy greens, and zucchini. Interesting to note. Now, I love my apples, so I definitely always buy organic. Plus, you have to think some of these, especially like lettuce, leafy greens, if they're out in, on a farm and they're getting sprayed with something, there's no protection. So something more like of an avocado has more of a hard rind around it, or even like bananas. So those can be bought more conventionally, if you want to save a little bit of money there. So these are foods that can be bought conventionally, and they're lower in the pesticides list. We have corn, onions, pineapples, avocado, cabbage, sweet peas, papaya, mangoes, asparagus, eggplant, kiwi, grapefruit, cantaloupe, sweet potatoes, and mushrooms. So that's really good to know. And what's great is that you do have a handout which lists all these foods. So next time you go shopping, you can bring that with you, or again, download that, that app on your phone. So the next thing after we've done the perimeter is we're going to go to the healthy aisles. So even if you're in a traditional grocery store, not necessarily a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or a Sprouts, luckily, like even in Walmart, you can find organic foods. Like who knew that was not possible a few years ago, even in like a super Target. So then you want to go to the healthier aisles, like the the natural section if you're in a traditional grocery store, and get your cereals and your foods, your a little bit more processed foods there versus where everything else is. And also when you're shopping the aisles, there's an entire science behind how products are placed on the shelves. So the store wants you to buy what's at your eye level. So I have the example here of when you buy cereal. If you go down the traditional cereal aisle, all the cheap sugar cereals are going to be right in your line of vision. If you look for something healthy, you have to look higher on the shelf or lower. It's not conveniently placed, okay? So just keep that in mind, whatever is at your eye level, when you're waiting to check out, whatever is like right there, they want you to buy those quick purchases. It's not necessarily the best thing for you. It's just things that they know people in general will buy without thinking too hard. Tricks in labeling what you need to know. This is a good tip when you're buying produce. Like I did this yesterday when I was in Whole Foods. I really wanted some Granny Smith apples. But if you look at I couldn't find the sign. I couldn't figure out if it was organic or not. So if you look at the little sticker on the fruits or the vegetables, if there's the number 9 first, that means it's organic. If there's any other number, typically the other number is 4, then it's not organic. So unfortunately, I'm looking at my Granny Smith apples and I'm like, oh, it's a 4. So I didn't get them. I got some pears instead. The word natural on a label basically doesn't mean anything because use of that word is not regulated. So in this day and age, wellness and natural and healthy is really, really trendy, which is great because as consumers, the powers that be have heard, and that's why places like Walmart and Target have even healthier options for those smaller towns, not like Los Angeles where we have everything at our fingertips. However, natural, a lot of people could put natural, and it doesn't really mean a lot. So I think that's important to know. Same thing where they could put the word whole grain, but if you start to read the ingredients, especially with breads are very confusing. They could put whole grain, and maybe there's like 1 or 2 actual whole grains in there, but if you read the ingredients, and the first ingredient says enriched whole wheat flour, it's basically colored white flour. So it's colored with molasses. So it's just as bad as buying, like white bread, okay? So what you want to see is where it says whole oat, whole wheat, whole something as the first ingredient versus enriched. But who knew? Because it's going to be labeled whole grain. Also, when you buy meats, they can't say no antibiotics. It's just not the way it is, but you would like to see the words without the use of added antibiotics or, grass-fed, pasture-raised is becoming very popular. That just means the animals have been able to roam the pastures. They're getting sunlight, they're getting vitamin D, they have more omega-3s, and they're just happier animals. So that goes into you. For fish, you want to try to choose wild if possible, especially wild salmon is salmon in general is one of the healthiest fish for you because of the omega-3 fatty acids, but you want wild because, again, they're not, even farm-raised, oftentimes they're in these sort of nets in the water, and there's not much room for them to roam around, and it could be higher in mercury. And in general, larger fish have more mercury than small fish. You just have to think large fish eat small fish, okay? So I recommend not to eat too much tuna or like Chilean sea bass, which I love, but it's a huge fish, and then they eat smaller fish, and they're typically very high in mercury. Mercury attaches to our major organs, makes them slowly shut down. You can get mercury poisoning and all these other crazy side effects that you don't know what's wrong with you. You're just sort of tired all the time. And if you feel like maybe you've eaten a lot of tuna or larger fish and had no idea about it, you can always get a blood test through the doctor, and they can test for heavy metals. And if you have that, then there are ways to get that out of your system, which is really good to know. For eggs, ideally you want to choose free range or pasture raised. Again, these chickens have actually been outside. Cage free doesn't have much meaning. Again, it's just a marketing thing. So when in the chicken coops, or there's these huge buildings, and technically they can say cage free because there's no actual cages inside this large building. However, the chickens are very cramped together. They have no room to roam around. I once saw this. There's some great documentaries. One is called Food Incorporated. And this woman, her job was basically to go into the big chicken coop and take out the dead birds. And because the ammonia was so strong in there, it actually had burned off all of the hair on her body. Like, she had no body hair, because that's how, and she had to wear this mask and all this stuff just to go in. So technically they were cage-free because they weren't caged in, but their living arrangements were less than ideal. So you really want free range or pasture raised, or if you know someone who has a chicken, that's probably your best thing. Okay, so now we're going to start to learn about how to read a label. So this is a sample label for macaroni and cheese. Hopefully you are not buying macaroni and cheese. Okay? Let's just a sample. We'll assume that you've never had this ever. So at the top, that's where you want to start. So we always want to read the serving size. A lot of people get in trouble because they just look at maybe calories and they totally forget to look at the serving size. So this has 2 servings, and it has 250 calories. So basically that's 500 calories in this one box, right? Same thing with chips and crackers. It's like, oh, it's only 100-something calories. Well, there's like 4 servings in there. Then you want to limit these ingredients, and we'll go through these a little bit more. So we have sodium here, which is kind of high, 470 milligrams. Cholesterol is low, which is fine. Fat is at 12 grams, and the most concerning is the trans fat, which is at 3 grams. We want that to always say 0. Trans fats are very, very bad. They're man-made, they clog your arteries, and they could lead to heart attack and stroke. You just don't want trans fats. Dietary fiber is a good thing. Fiber helps keep our blood sugar nice and like this versus these spikes, all, a roller coaster during the day. Fiber keeps you fuller longer and keeps your system nice and healthy. So as a woman, our goal is about 25 grams of fiber a day, and men is about 35. But you can also get a lot of fiber from fruits and vegetables. So it doesn't necessarily have to be from a package. And then at the bottom, it lists some of the various vitamins that are in here. So we'll just go through this a little bit more. So I already mentioned about serving size. Read the serving sizes, and then you can figure out how much you're actually consuming if you ate the whole package or box of whatever that is. And then you have to do a little multiplication. So we really have 500 calories. We have 940 milligrams of sodium. Is that a lot? Yes, it's insane. Whew, don't want that. 62 grams of carbs. That's just a lot, because there's some protein. There's 10 grams of protein, and we have some sugars in there. But it's just a lot of fat and sodium, and just don't eat that. And then you could look at calories from fat, which is interesting. So basically half of the calories actually come from fat. That means this product is very high in fat. And the general guide to calories is, if you look at the label per serving, so 40 calories is low, 100 is moderate, and 400 or more is high. So that's just a quick little rule of thumb. Okay. So the general guide to calories, which you'll see on the label, is it's always based on a 2,000 calorie diet, which not everyone in the universe does well on that. Some people need less and some people need more. So what we're going to do, for those that have not calculated this before, is talk a little bit about basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories you need in order to maintain your current weight, which includes your physical activity. So again, not everyone needs 2,000 a day. It's just very, very general. So if you're watching this video, you might want to take a pause here and break out your calculator. But what you're going to do is first determine your resting metabolic rate. So that's RMR. So this is if you lay in bed all day and don't move, how many calories are you going to be burning? So there's this fancy equation called the Harris-Benedict equation. You can also Google it. And for women, you're going to take the number 655 plus 4.35 times your weight in pounds, plus 4.7 times your height in inches, minus, a lot of people forget the minus here, 4.7 times your age, obviously in years. And then men, it's 66 plus 6.23 times your weight, plus 12.7 times your height, minus 6.8 times your age. Now this is a general formula. You can actually do metabolic testing through the doctor where it's a little bit more exact, and you could figure out how many calories your body is burning when at rest and when active. Okay, so after you've done your RMR, which is the resting metabolic rate, then you're going to figure out your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. This again includes physical activity. So you have to figure out which one you are. So if you're sedentary, that's if you do little or no exercise or have a desk job. Lightly active is light exercise or sports workout 1 to 3 days a week. Moderately active is working out 3 to 5 days a week. Very active is 6 to 7 days a week, and extremely is basically you're running marathons and 5Ks and you're just super duper active, or an athlete. So for my calculation, I sort of go between lightly active and moderately. So I try to work out 3 to 5 days a week. It sort of depends on the week sort of thing. So my resting metabolic rate is about 1,400 calories. So that's how many I burn if I sit at home and don't move all day from bed, right? So obviously I move. So I never want to eat less than 1,400 calories because my body will go into starvation mode. Then between here, I can basically eat between 1,900 and 2,100 calories a day, and then I'll maintain my current size based on my activity. So it's a really cool thing to learn. And again, there's all sorts of fancy Google calculators, and I love MyFitnessPal, which is a free app which you can download that helps you figure out your daily calories as well. Okay, so back to labels. We really want to pay attention, especially to that sodium there and the fat. So we talked about trans fat. Saturated fat, I'm not as concerned about anymore because there's various studies coming out that not all saturated fat is created equal. I know that coconut oil is very popular now, and it's very trendy, and it's actually really, really good for you. It processes differently in the body. So vegetable oils are a long-chain fatty acid, and coconut oil is a medium-chain fatty acid. Basically, they're two different things, and the coconut oil will speed up the metabolism, but if you and help with the thyroid function, basically whittle your waistline. But if you look at the label of coconut oil, it'll say saturated fat. But again, not all is created equal, which we're finding out, which is good that they figured that out. And you definitely want to get enough, fiber in your vitamins. We'll skip that. So on the right here of this label, there's something called daily value. Most people don't pay attention to those percentages, and you don't have to if it's too much to look at. I'd just rather you pay attention to like serving size and sodium. But this is what it's based off of. So the USDA figured out that in general, most people should have 65 grams or less of fat per day, 20 grams or less of saturated fat, 300 milligrams or less of cholesterol, 2,400 milligrams or less of sodium, which again is insanely high. You don't have to have that much sodium. And then carbohydrates is 300 or less, and dietary fiber, which actually I think they got right, is 25 grams, is a good, nice, healthy amount. So that's how this comes up here. So if you look at these percentage daily values, so 5% is low. So for example, fiber is 0%, so that's a little bit too low. And then 20% is high. So the fat on here is at 18%. And again, it's times 2, so we're really getting 30% of our fat, which is like way over our daily allowance. If that's confusing, again, don't worry about it. It's okay. And then always pay attention to to sugar. So here's an example. We have plain Greek yogurt on the left. We have just regular fruit yogurt on the right. No particular brand there. So on the left, we have 100 calories, 0 trans fat, 80 milligrams of sodium, 7 grams of sugar, and 18 grams of protein, which is awesome. Protein is good. It's good for your muscles. On the right of the fruit yogurt, we have, again, 0 trans fat, a little more sodium, 160 milligrams, 44 grams of sugar, and 13 grams of protein. That's a lot of sugar. When I read a label, I aim for 10 grams or less on a label. Okay? How do we know? So 44 grams of sugar, basically that's equal to 11 teaspoons of white sugar. Okay, 1 teaspoon of white sugar equals 4 grams. So basically what I did is I took 44 divided by 4. So if you drink soda, or know people that do, on the can is usually 39 or 40 grams of sugar, which is about 10 teaspoons of white sugar. It's a lot of sugar. And then they can't figure out why their waistline is expanding. So really pay attention to the sugar and aim for 10 grams or less if possible. Okay? Now, when ingredients are listed on a label, they're put in order of quantity. So the first few, like the first 4 or 5 ingredients are the most, like whatever's the most is labeled first, okay? In anything, any label that you ever read. So on this, the plain Greek yogurt has no added sugars. So added sugars are something that are hidden, and we'll learn different names of added sugars here in a second. But like in the fruit yogurt, we have high fructose corn syrup, which is bad, and we'll learn why momentarily. So you really have to read what is in it. In the plain Greek yogurt, all these live cultures, basically those are probiotics. That's a good healthy bacteria, keeps your intestines nice and healthy. So anything that ends in illus or us, lactophilus, all these things I can't pronounce, those are all good, healthy, active bacteria. That's good. So there's other names for sugar, which you're going to read on the label, is corn syrup. So there's high fructose corn syrup, and then there's also corn syrup, just in case there's not enough. There's fruit juice concentrate. Again, it sounds good. It's like, oh, it's fruit juice. No, sugar. There's maltose, dextrose, sucrose, honey, and maple syrup. Now, again, honey here and there is fine. If you can go more of a raw honey, it's more, it's like comes in a jar. It's a little bit more solid. What's great about a raw honey is it has a lot of B vitamins, so it's really good for energy and stress reduction. So if you want some natural energy, have your B vitamins. And then maple syrup, again, just here and there. Those are the better choices of everything else. And no daily reference value currently has been established for sugars. That's just my little recommendation, is just what I use and happens to work well for me. But what's good is the FDA is actually working to approve a new label. Thank goodness, they got getting it together here. So what they're going to do is put 8 so they have the servings in huge letters at the top, so you can't miss it. And then it has calories in even larger numbers and letters, which is great. They're putting the daily values on the left, and then they're putting added sugars, which is cool. So again, people, you don't know until you really read everything. And then they're also, instead of the percentage of your vitamins, because I mean, who knows what that is, they're actually putting the quantity. So they have calcium, like 280 milligrams. So I know how much calcium and potassium I'm getting in this particular product. So that's cool. I'm really glad that they're doing this, and hopefully it'll get approved soon. Any questions on any label stuff so far? Okay. So now we're going to go through the actual ingredients and what they do. So I know I told you guys about soda before and high fructose corn syrup, but let's just go through it one more time about what it actually does in the body and how it's processed. It's processed completely different because it's just what it is. So what it is, it's processed in the liver, and it triggers something called lipogenesis. That sounds very fancy. All that means is the liver starts to make fat cells. So basically, if you have high fructose corn syrup in food or beverages, you are going to make fat cells. That's just what happens. This can cause fatty liver, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, dementia, can create more sweet cravings because you're getting so much sweetness, it dumbs down the sweetness taste on your tongue over time, so you just need more and more sweetness to satisfy that craving. It can suppress the hormone called leptin, which is our fullness and satiety hormone. So pretty much if you have high fructose corn syrup, you're going to eat more and crave more food without really conscious of it. So you'll naturally eat some more. And particularly simple carbs, snacks and sweets. And there are trace amounts of mercury in beverages that contain high fructose corn syrup, which we now know is bad, right? So please don't drink soda. Then other things that we're going to start looking for, the other names of sugar, maltose, dextrose, sucrose, and fruit juice concentrate. Monosodium glutamate, so bad. MSG, guess it's in Chinese food. It's also in a lot of chips and like Cheetos and Doritos, and you really have to read. Basically, it makes the food taste better and makes you want to eat it more. Okay, you'll eat the whole bag. It's used as a flavor enhancer in Chinese foods, processed chips, and crackers. Has been linked to headaches, flushing, sweating, facial pressure or tightness, numbness, tingling or burning in the face, neck and other areas, heart palpitations, chest pain, nausea, and weakness. Yeah, no reason to have that. Now, then there's also something called excitotoxins, which MSG is an excitotoxin, also aspartate, which is an artificial sweetener. So these are found in diet sodas, canned soups, sausages, salad dressings, processed vegetarian and non-vegetarian foods, so excitotoxins, and this is also in diet soda. So if you drink Diet Coke, the combination of aspartame and caffeine creates an excitotoxin. Basically, over time, it stimulates the brain cells because you feel really awake when you have it, and then they get overstimulated, and basically it can kill your brain cells or can bring them to a near-death state. So you can have some neurological issues, not remember things as much. We need our brain cells. They don't grow back. And then aspartate is used as an artificial sweetener in soft drinks, cereals, and ice creams, and has been linked to panic attacks, mood swings, dizziness, blackouts, and visual hallucinations. Awesome. Some other food additives that always contain MSG, and this is on that handout, because you wouldn't know that these have MSG, because they sound kind of okay. We have hydrolyzed vegetable protein, hydrolyzed plant protein, sodium caseinate, calcium caseinate, yeast extract, who knew that would have MSG, textured extract, autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed oat flour, and corn oil. Carrageenan. This isn't, I can't drink milk, so I drink almond milk, cashew milk, and coconut milk. Don't do soy milk, and rice milk has too much sugar. So carrageenan is used as a filler in there and in a lot of brands. So there was recently a few months ago, maybe it was like 6 months ago or so, and my favorite almond milk magically disappeared. I do unsweetened almond milk from Whole Foods, and I was like, where did it go? So what happened is there's studies coming out that carrageenan is actually not that great for us. So they pulled all of their almond milks and then reformulated it, so now it's back without that. So I know when I had to switch my almond milks because it had that. It's also in soy milks, rice milks, non-dairy milks, yogurts, and dairy products. It can cause more inflammation and also can lead to other diseases. And then we have hydrogenated oil and partially hydrogenated oils, which are trans fats. So I like this example. The Coffee Mate sweetener, the French vanilla, that used to be my addiction and drug of choice. However, what's very clever is on the front it says gluten-free. Well, of course, it's like non-dairy. Anyway, and it also says 0 trans fats right on the front of the label. And I used this in a presentation recently. But when you read the ingredients, there is partially hydrogenated oils. Now, how could that be? There's a little loophole to where companies can technically say 0 trans fat on the label if it's like 0.0 something % that the product contains per serving. So, yes, it said 0, but it actually does have trans fats in it because of the ingredients. That's why you have to be a real reader when you're reading your labels. So these trans fats are used in baked goods, cookies, croissants, scones, cakes, donuts. Again, these are things that you buy. If you make it yourself, you can control the ingredients. Frozen dough products, so pizza, pancakes, waffles, crackers, chips, other snack foods. these levels, again, it leads to a lot of coronary heart disease, stroke, clogs the arteries. It can increase your LDL levels, which is the bad cholesterol, and lower the HDL, which is the good cholesterol. So you have to really watch out for these hydrogenated oils. And then we have modified cornstarch. This is used as a thickening agent, emulsifier, and stabilizer in foods like yogurt, canned soups, and ice cream. And it's basically another word for sugar. And it's in a lot of labels. It's in some of these labels I was looking at here. So basically, it's sugar. Sodium nitrate. Nitrates are bad. What they do is they can scar the arteries, which can lead to plaque buildup in them. A lot of lunch meats, sausages, and bacons have nitrates. So the good news is you can find those products with, they'll say nitrate-free or no nitrates. So it's really important. Beef jerky, so you have to say no nitrates, okay? So again, found in lunch meat, sausage, bacon, linked to heart disease, diabetes, digestive cancer, and even Alzheimer's. And then we have something called BHT and TBHQ. I can't even pronounce those words, but they're derived from petroleum and they're used as preservatives. So I don't really want to eat petroleum. Then we have vegetable, soybean, cottonseed, and corn oils. Typically, these are GMO oils, which are genetically modified. And what did we learn about corn oils already? That they also can contain MSG, right? So that's why we don't want to eat that. It can also throw off the omega-6 and omega-3 balance, which can lead to inflammation in the body and heart disease. So for oils, I typically use coconut oil or olive oil when cooking or baking. Or you can even use maybe grapeseed oil if you need like a higher heat with very little flavor to it. So the omega-6, omega-3 balance is really important. We get plenty of omega-6s from foods like crackers and little snacky type foods. It's basically a vegetable oil. So the omega-3s are what we get from fish. You can take an omega-3 supplement. It's a great natural anti-inflammatory. I've had clients that have their arthritis had gone away because they started having, taking omega-3s. So you want to keep that in balance, but typically with the Americans, it's like a 25-3 ratio or something crazy with the 6s and the 3s are off balance. So that's why if you do decide to take an omega-3 supplement, on the labels, again, it can be confusing. It'll say like omega-3, 6 and 9, or 6 and 9, or all these things, and all you want is 3. You just need 3. We get plenty of the 6s and the 9s from the other foods that we eat. Enriched wheat flour. We already talked about this. This is in breads, crackers, cereals. It's basically colored white flour. So you want to say whole wheats, whole oats, whole something as the first ingredient on the label. Maltodextrin, another word for sugar. It's a sugar-heavy corn-derived food additive which spikes the blood sugar. Then we have titanium dioxide. This makes food products white. Is possibly a carcinogen. It can be found in some mayo products, marshmallows, whipped cream, powdered sugar, salad dressings, icings, and coffee creamers. So anything that's white, you might want to read the label. I know, right now you guys are like, what can I eat? I have to go. I have to clear out. Well, when I started learning about ingredients, and I mean, I've been on this journey for a while, but at first it's like, okay, I can't eat a lot of my favorite things. But it's good to be educated and know that you're going to be putting better things into your body instead. And what's really cool, especially in this day and age, is there's so many healthier alternatives for what you already love. Like if you like your creamers, there's like coconut creamer, and they have different flavors and things like that. So there's different choices. I eat plenty of fun foods, and I never feel deprived, and I don't have to have, all of these things. We have some people laughing here. That's right. You might be cleaning out your refrigerator and your pantry today. So the last few things are artificial sweeteners, sucralose, aspartame, and saccharin. All bad. These can increase sweets and simple carb cravings, which can increase your appetite. Has been linked to many health issues and diseases such as heart cancer, multiple sclerosis, headaches, migraines, asthma, neurological issues, skin irritation, allergies, mood disorders, memory problems, dizziness, inflammation, stomach cramps, bladder issues, birth defects, and may be harmful to the liver and immune system. Ooh, that was a long list. So sucralose is Splenda. It's another word for Splenda. Splenda is the brand name. Unfortunately, because people have gotten smart that aspartame and saccharin are bad for us, so now a lot of companies are sneaking in sucralose to make up for that. But it's still just as bad. We just don't know it yet. So sucralose, one of the things that they sort of advertise is it's from sugar. So at the very beginning of the process, yes, it's from sugar. But during the whole chemical restructuring, by the time it's finished, it becomes something called a chlorocarbon, which means it contains chlorine. So if you have Splenda or sucralose, you're ingesting chlorine. Not what we want to be doing. And the chemical structure also resembles DDT, which is a banned pesticide. So if you're freaking out because you eat Splenda all the time, there's Truvia, which is made from stevia, and there's stevia. Those are my two. You can also use brown rice syrup as a sweetener. So there's a few healthier options now that are good for you. Aspartame, again, bad. Some studies have found formaldehyde in the livers, kidneys, and brains of test subjects, discovered in the 1960s by accident during research to develop an ulcer drug. That's where that came from. And then saccharin is found in many toothpastes as well as foods and beverages. This was discovered in 1879 by accident by a researcher at Johns Hopkins. He was discovering new uses for coal and discovered when eating a roll that night at dinner that the residue on his hands tasted sweet. Isn't that interesting? So it's like part of coal, or I don't know. Reduce processed foods, eat local, wild, and organic if possible. Eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Color is good. When you eat food, make sure it has color, not just brown. That's part of how I put on so much weight in college too. It's like sometimes I would just have brown plates. Read the labels and ingredients every time you go to the grocery store, and be an educated shopper. So what I'm going to do real quick is go through some of these labels that have magically appeared over here. And we'll see, and you guys could help me decide if this is good. So here we have a Yoplait Light yogurt. I'm just going to read the ingredients. Cultured, pasteurized, grade A non-fat milk, strawberries, modified cornstarch, sugar, so we have in a row, gelatin, citric acid, tricalcium phosphate, aspartame, good, okay, potassium sorbate, and then like red number 40. You want to hear something interesting about how a lot of products are like a strawberry cherry, that pinkish color, and a lot of even candies and yogurts, is it actually comes from this certain beetle. There's a certain beetle that, yeah, they like boil these beetles and they excrete this red coloring. So they can say natural red coloring because it's from a beetle. I'm not even kidding. I forget the name of the beetle. So what do we think about this? This is... A beetle might be healthier than other stuff. This is true. Depends on your preference. All right, so probably not Yoplait Light. I'd recommend a good plain Greek yogurt, and then you could add something like that. How much sugar is in that one? So we have a flavored Greek yogurt with how many? 20 grams of sugar. So that's why if you go for more of a plain Greek yogurt, you can add like your own blueberries, and then for a little sweetness, naturally. Yeah, I know. Okay, so now we have, let's see, Greek yogurt, protein, Nature Valley bars. Again, doesn't that look just so healthy? It's Nature Valley. And when they have the commercials, people are running through the fields, and they're just so energetic. Okay, so we have almond pieces, soy protein isolate. I mentioned this before. Soy protein isolate is bad. It's that version of soy, since it's so processed, is bad for the thyroid, can lower the metabolism, could possibly be linked to some cancers. A lot of protein bars have that. So we don't want soy protein isolate. The third ingredient is corn syrup, sugar. Then we have some peanuts. Oh, then we have sugar, because we didn't have enough. And then we have vegetable oil, palm kernel and canola oil. And then we have strawberry flavored cranberry pieces with some juice concentrate in there, rice starch, fructose. Okay, so we're going to find a better protein bar. When you look for a protein bar or snack bar, go for something with very few ingredients. There's is it the Lara bar with it's like 5 ingredients or less? Those are usually pretty good. They're not high in protein. The brand of protein bar that I currently eat is Go Macro. I like the J Rob protein bars. You want whey protein. Or also there's brown rice protein, and there's pea protein that's commonly used now as well. Okay, we now have a Fiber One 90-calorie lemon bar, which again, it looks like, oh, it's 90 calories. So the first ingredient is wheat flour bleached. So what is that?
White flour.
It's white flour, yeah. Then we have sugar. Then we have some lemon bits with some sugar, cocoa butter. Oh, there's some coconut oil, okay. Then we have, for coloring, yellow 5 lake. That doesn't sound very good to me. I don't want yellow lake anything. Then we have some fructose. Then we have some sugar cane fiber. Then we have vegetable oil. So I'm going to say no. Like, even though if you just looked at the numbers, like, oh, it's 8 grams of sugar, maybe it's okay, it's 90 calories. But when you're reading the ingredients, like, there's a lot of things in there that we don't need. And I think I've told you guys this before, when we have a lot of chemicals and toxins from our foods, I mean, we can only control so much from the environment, but from the foods and beverages especially, so our fat cells are trying to protect us, like the body's trying to protect us all the time from all these things we're just giving it, and it's like, I don't know what to do with that, I'll do this. So we have this little fat cell, and we have all these chemicals and toxins. So the chemicals and toxins will go inside a fat cell to try to protect you. Isn't that nice? And then you get more and more chemicals and toxins, and then the fat cell gets bigger and bigger. And then eventually you need to make some more fat cells because that one's all expanded. So what happens is when people start to eat clean and naturally detox, because our body's trying to always detox every day, is the toxins are released and the fat cells shrink. So all these little chemicals just going in fat cells. Oh, sure, we have some more. Oops. Okay, so we have Trader Joe's high fibery fruit and nut multigrain medley cereal. All right, I love it. It has 7 grams of fiber, only 8 grams of sugar. What's also cool about fiber is it doesn't count as calories in your body, which is great. So corn flour, wheat bran, corn bran, dry cane syrup, so that's part of the sugar, raisins. So basically I can pronounce all of these ingredients. Almonds, pecans, whole oat flour, whole brown rice flour. You see how it's saying whole versus like enriched? Whole wheat flour, whole rye flour, whole barley flour, whole buckwheat flour. This is great. Yay. I'll give you a yes for that one. And then we have French vanilla calcium fortified drink mix smoothie. Oh, Lordy. All right, so 4 grams of fiber, 6 grams of sugar, 10 grams of protein, but I'm concerned about the ingredients. So we have non-fat milk, soy protein isolate is number 2, natural and artificial flavor, who knows what that is, maltodextrin, that was on that list, right? Carrageenan, also on that list. Sodium caseinate, also on that list. That's one of the things that has MSG. Sucralose, Splenda. Yellow 5. Okay, so I'm going to say no to that one. Okay. Then we have, I'm not really sure what this one, oh, is this some version of a milk or something? Yeah, almond milk. Okay. So it depends on the brand. So this brand, it might have been the brand that I had been, probably Almond Breeze or something. So this has the carrageenan in it. So just get a different brand.
What's a good brand then?
What do I use? I mean, I just use like, it's like Whole Foods brand. Also, like the So brand sometimes. I forget. Whatever I get, it's like orange and white. And it's Whole Foods 365 brand.
Oh, Whole Foods brand.
Yeah. Or you can even make your own almond milk. It's actually pretty simple. You soak a bunch of almonds, and then you blend them, and then you strain them, and you have your own almond milk. So you can look up a recipe online. So it's a cheaper way to do it, and then you know exactly what's in it, which is almonds. We have some other cereal, toasted wheatfuls. 7 grams of fiber, great. 0 grams of sugar, 6 grams of protein. All right, you know what the ingredients are? Whole grain wheat. Great.
My question is, between the two cereals, one has lower calories than the other, but then the other has, like that one has higher calories and that one has lower calories, but this one has no sugar and that one has high sugar. So
I mean, you can even combine them to get the best of both worlds. So the serving size of this one is 2/3 cup, and the serving size of this one is 1 cup. Basically, I would think, so there's also less carbs in this one and a little bit more in this one. Just for purely looking at ingredients, probably this one, if you don't have a gluten issue or anything like that, because it's like one ingredient. Yeah. And you're getting like no sugar.